Hey everybody, it is Trags Mike Petralia back with a special episode of the Jungle Roar podcast here on the eve of the Bengals preseason opener with the Philadelphia Eagles out at Lincoln Financial Field in the city of brotherly love. A lot to keep our eyes on for this preseason opener as Joe Burrow and company leads the offense into its first preseason game. Of course, Joe Burrow played in the preseason opener last year, a 17-14 loss to Tampa Bay at Paycor Stadium. He didn't play again thereafter. That won't be the case this year, as Joe Burrow plans to play a little bit on Thursday night in Philadelphia. And then Zach Taylor said the real outlay for Joe Burrow's playing time and most of the starters will be in that Washington game in 11 days, Monday night, August 18th, against the Commanders. So tomorrow night will be a good tune-up for Joe Burrow and company and the offense. And for the defense, certainly there's going to be a lot of attention on the rookies. Three in particular. Shamar Stewart, the first rounder, the edge, has looked very good in training camp so far. How much playing time will he get against the Philadelphia Eagles? That is certainly something to keep an eye on. And then there's linebacker and a guy that has really turned some heads, Demetrius Knight Jr., the pick out of South Carolina. He's 25 years of age. He already carries himself as a veteran in the locker room. You can tell that players really respect him. How will he look on the field? He's looked very fast. He's looked like somebody that could play sideline to sideline as a linebacker next to Logan Wilson. So that'll be something to keep a very close eye on as well. And then there's Barrett Carter, the linebacker that is probably going to back up Logan Wilson to start the season, certainly. A middle linebacker who has been wearing the green dot, a signal caller in the middle of the Bengals defense, which, of course, is now run by Al Golden. How will the Al Golden defense look the first time in game action? We understand that this is not starters against starters for 60 minutes. That's not the point. The point is to get a lot of these younger players get their feet wet in NFL action. It's not the same as joint practices, which we've seen the last several years. Zach Taylor and his staff decided to go in a different direction this year. They actually want the game action. And there's going to be a good window between this game against the Philadelphia Eagles and the Washington Commanders. The Bengals are going to use those 9 to 10 days for some really heavy focus on practice in pads and really drill down to make sure that they are ready for the season opener on September 7th, of course, in Cleveland against the Browns. This Jungle Roar podcast being brought to you by the great folks at All Good Home Improvement and, of course, our friends at CLNS Media. All right, let's take a look at some of the details of tomorrow night. The receiving core, and I wrote this preview for CLNSCincy.com. You can find all of the preview information in my What to Look For, which, of course, is what I do for each and every Bengals preseason and regular season game. And, of course, if they get to the playoffs, and even deep into the playoffs, hopefully the Super Bowl, but we're getting ahead of ourselves. We want to give you a deep preview and look into what to expect each time the Bengals take the field. The receiving core, the deepest part of the roster, and I think that's pretty obvious. Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and now the established third receiver, Andre Iosivas. How will he look in the preseason? Certainly, there's been a rhythm, a tempo, and a trust developed with Andre Iosivas, not just here in training camp, but this goes back to the beginning of last year when Iosivas really grew into his own and could be trusted as a red zone weapon. Joe Burrow grew and grew and grew in his trust with the third-year receiver out of Princeton. And now it looks like he is definitely a part of the offense that is being called by Dan Picture and, of course, by head coach Zach Taylor. He is somebody that I think everybody inside the building offensively can now rely on. And it'll be interesting to see how Iosivas gets his reps during the preseason. The real battle at the wide receiver position is deeper down the depth chart. And that is something certainly I think that is worth noting. It's Jermaine Burton. He has been given a second chance in his second year in the NFL. Things didn't go well. It looked like, and he acknowledged that he could not handle the responsibility of his NFL responsibilities as a rookie. He's being given a second chance, and so far, so good. From the start of OTAs through mandatory minicamp to now in training camp, he's looked like a different receiver out on the field. He is going to give Charlie Jones a run for his money. And that doesn't mean that both of them don't make the roster and are not good weapons in the Bengals offense. It simply means one of them could leapfrog the other in terms of game day availability as part of the 46-man roster. Very interesting battle that is shaping up deep into the wide receiver room with the Bengals. Charlie Jones and Jermaine Burton. How many reps will each player get? What will they do with it? What will they do in the special teams game, the return game, the punt return game? What will Charlie Jones do to show that his explosiveness is back, his elusiveness is back, which he has showed. He has returned a kick return for a touchdown in his rookie year, and last year returned a punt return for a touchdown. And Jermaine Burton, his explosiveness goes without saying. Certainly, when you get even deeper than that, Isaiah Williams, Mitchell Tinsley, he is someone that Zach Taylor pointed out as somebody who has really raised some eyebrows and could really get some serious reps here in the preseason. It's guys like Isaiah Williams, Mitchell Tinsley, you should keep a very close eye on. And of course, Kendrick Pryor. He is somebody that's very reliable, has been on the practice squad for the Bengals the last couple of years. He could also be raising some eyebrows for the Bengals during the preseason. And always remember this. These players are not just playing to impress the Bengals. They're playing, it's the old cliche, you're not just playing for the team you're playing for the other 31 teams in the NFL come cutdown day at the end of preseason. All right, the biggest battle for the Bengals offensively that is going to take place without question is the right guard spot. It's between veterans Lucas Patrick, a free agent signed to a one-year deal from the New Orleans Saints, and also Cody Ford. Cody Ford was, without question, the Bengals' most versatile offensive lineman in 2024. That has earned him a shot to win the starting right guard spot after Alex Kappa left after last season. He was not brought back. He is signed since with the Las Vegas Raiders. And then there's the left guard position. It's been essentially ordained, it's been given to rookie Dylan Fairchild, which speaks a lot to the trust that the Bengals have in a rookie. Granted, he is coming out of a tremendous program in Kirby Smart's University of Georgia Bulldog program, and his story has been certainly well documented in the last several months. He and Scott Peters, the new offensive line coach, getting into an MMA type of match, a wrestling match, a battle, and essentially fighting to a draw. But that gives you some sense of the pure strength that Dylan Fairchild has. And one thing that Joe Burrow said in the offseason, I think it was back in May, is he carries himself like he is going to start at the position. And it's not performing yet. He obviously hasn't been on the field yet. But that attitude is what the Bengals are looking for. Will the production follow? Will the protection follow? Will he know the assignments that he needs to get down on that interior offensive line? Because coming into this season, I think at right tackle, Amarius Mims, left tackle, Orlando Brown Jr., they're rocks. They're locks, and they are solid on the edges for the Bengals offensive line. It's the interior line. Obviously, Ted Karras is a lock at center. He's very trusted. He is solid in his performance. There's no worries there. But the Bengals have to shore up their right guard spot and their left guard spot going into the season if the Bengals want to free up Joe Burrow to get the ball down the field to the targets like Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Andre Yosevich, Mike Gesicki when he's back. He will not play, by the way. Neither will Noah Fant in Thursday night's preseason opener in Philadelphia. So keep that in mind as well. A lot of buzz, and I think rightfully so, over the running back room coming into this camp for the Bengals. You have Chase Brown. He could be the next James Brooks for the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, I understand that is saying a lot, but the Bengals have a lot of expectations for the kind of talent, the burst, the explosion that Chase Brown can bring them, not just running the ball, but as a pass receiver. He has the ability, elusiveness to make tacklers miss in the open field. So many times in the last couple of years, the Bengals defense have been victimized by running backs like that. Austin Eckler is a fine example. Certainly, the running back for the San Francisco 49ers is another guy that comes to mind when you think about elusive running backs that can really cause problems and multiple headaches for the defense. That's what the Bengals believe they have in Chase Brown. But behind Chase Brown is the rookie out of Texas Tech, Taj Brooks. Chase Brown may not get a lot of reps in the preseason. Taj Brooks will, because the Bengals want to see whether or not the air raid offense that he played under at Texas Tech is going to translate very smoothly and hopefully seamlessly, for the most part, to the NFL. And can he pick up the pass protections? Paul Dehner Jr. of The Athletic asked Taj Brooks this on Tuesday. What about your pass pro? How hard have you been working on that? And he said, I've been in the books every single night looking at where my responsibilities are. And the good part for me, Brooks said, is that a lot of it is very, very similar. There's some differences, some nuances that are a little bit different. And certainly the veterans, Samaje Perine and Chase Brown, he noted, have really helped him off the field, in the film room, in the classroom, really trying to pick up some of the nuances that are going to be critical. Because if you're going to play running back for the Bengals, you not only have to be able to run the ball and catch the ball, you have to pass protect. And that is something Taj Brooks is going to have all preseason to work on. Again, this Bengals preseason opener podcast on the Jungle Roar Pod is brought to you by All Good Home Improvement. All Good has been helping homeowners for 32 years. When looking for a home improvement company, the number one quality they are looking for is trust. For the last 32 years, All Good has been trusted to help homeowners replace their windows, install new vinyl siding, install new gutters, and professionally install a new roof. All Good offers interest-free financing with payment starting at just $99 a month, and more importantly, and just as importantly, no money down. All of All Good's products are professionally installed and backed by both a material and labor warranty. Right now, All Good is offering a 50% off sale or buy one, get one free. For more details and to schedule a free in-home consultation, simply call 513-247-2900. That's 513-247-2900. You can always trust their website. Go there for more information. myallgoodhome.com. All right, back with this special edition of the Jungle Roar podcast on the eve of the Bengals preseason opener against the Philadelphia Eagles. I'll be on location, by the way, at Lincoln Financial Field in the city of brotherly love. Have a cheesesteak beforehand. I can't visit Philadelphia and not have a cheesesteak. Of course, Pat Brennan, a Philadelphia native and terrific reporter for the Cincinnati Enquirer covering the Reds and Bengals, has already given me a great recommendation for a place to stay and visit in Philadelphia to get my cheesesteak. That is what I'm going to do. So I will be well fed when I take the field for the preview at Lincoln Financial Field. We'll, of course, have game coverage throughout tomorrow's game that starts at 7:30 p.m. Eastern between the Bengals and Eagles. And then post-game, we'll, of course, have the post-game wrap-up from the field, and we'll also have reaction from inside the locker room and Zach Taylor and Joe Burrow's press conferences. Well, we've spent a lot of time, obviously, on the offense. Defense is also something to keep an eye on tomorrow. We're going to see a lot of the starters along the defensive line, but not all of them. And that's important to keep in mind because Al Golden is going to be able to get a thorough look at the depth of his defensive positions starting on Thursday night. Obviously, names like B.J. Hill, Trey Hendrickson, they will not be playing. Also, a couple of other players will not be playing as well. Dax Hill won't be in there in the secondary. Neither will Marco Wilson. Cam Taylor-Britt won't be in there. So in CTB, I'm sorry, and Dax Hill, you have two projected members of the secondary that won't be in there. Josh Fig Newton, he will be. He is projected to be the starting slot corner, the Mike Hilton replacement for the 2025 Cincinnati Bengals. So it'll be interesting to see how he takes to playing both on the slot corner, and perhaps he travels a little bit. Richard Skinny of Local 12 pointed that out on the Jungle War podcast earlier in the week. There may be a possibility that we see multiple looks from Al Golden's defense, at least here in the preseason, so he can get an idea of who can handle what and make sure that everybody is in their right place come September 7th when the bullets start flying for real. But Fig Newton is somebody to keep a close eye on Thursday night. He expects or is expected to see quite a bit of playing time, at least in the first quarter, as Philadelphia puts their starters on the field. Now, I should say this. It has been being reported out of Philadelphia. The defending Super Bowl champs head coach Nick Sirianni is not necessarily going to say whether or not Jalen Hurts is going to even see a single snap on Thursday night against the Bengals. We'll have to wait and see. Maybe he does what Zach Taylor has done in the past with Joe Burrow in the 2021 preseason last year. Play him for one or two series and then get him the heck out of there. That could be the case, but we're going to have to wait probably closer to game time for some indication from Nick Sirianni as to whether or not Jalen Hurts and that some of the offensive regulars, like Saquon Barkley, will be in there for the Eagles. But back to the Bengals defense. It'll be interesting to see Shamar Stewart on the field, along with some of the others like Joseph Osai. Myles Murphy has a ton to prove this preseason. He's looked good at times in the preseason, but one thing we have heard from Al Golden, we've heard it from other coaches on the defensive staff for the Bengals, Myles Murphy has to learn how to make one move and escape the engagement of the offensive tackle. And that's one thing he has struggled with in his first couple of years in the NFL. Of course, a lot was expected as a first-round pick back in 2023. I think Myles Murphy has got to really, and I think everybody agrees with this, has got to start proving that he can be an impact defensive edge. And if he doesn't, I think you're going to see some other players start to come in and take his reps. Certainly Cam Sample, he is somebody that I think will be looking to get a few snaps on Thursday night. He is coming off that Achilles injury early in the 2024 training camp that really put the Bengals defense, I thought, behind the eight ball early on. I don't think a lot of people talked enough about the impact of the loss of Cam Sample last year. Cam Sample returns to the field on Thursday night against the Eagles. So that is another storyline to certainly look out for. Joseph Osai, we all remember what he looked like against the defending Super Bowl champion as a rookie back in 2021 when he sacked Tom Brady and the Buccaneers down in Tampa. Bengals, by the way, won that game 19-14. And if you read my preview on what to look for on CLNSCincy.com, you'll see I'm kind of going in that very same direction for a prediction for tomorrow night. Linebackers, we've talked about them before at the top of this live podcast here on CLNS Media, that Demetrius Knight Jr. and Barrett Carter are definitely worth watching. How about Oren Burks, I should say? Try to get it out clean the next time. Oren Burks. He played a pivotal role in the Eagles' defense on their run to the Super Bowl title last year. He played at a very high level. He was considered a reserve on Nick Sirianni's defense. Well, the Bengals thought so highly of him that they signed him to come to Cincinnati and be a depth piece for the Bengals on their defense. We're going to see some Oren Burks, I would believe, on Thursday night against the Eagles. He's another interesting storyline to keep a very close eye on Thursday. We'll have you covered all over CLNSCincy.com. Be sure to follow along on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/@JungleRoarPod. Of course, you can follow me on the X at Trags, TRAGS. Until tomorrow night, where I'll be in the city of brotherly love, bringing you all of the pregame, in-game, and post-game reaction from the Bengals for our great sponsors, All Good Home Improvements and CLNS Media. My name is Mike Petralia, Trags. Thanks for watching this special edition of the Jungle Roar Podcast.